Good afternoon. I hope everybody is having a fantastic day. Let's go ahead and make sure that you guys are okay to hear me. If you would go ahead and just type in the number 1 in the chat box there, in the comments, let me know that you guys can hear me. That would be fantastic. All right. Appreciate it. Hey, Lee, thanks. I appreciate that. All right. Excellent. What a day in the market, huh? It has been phenomenal. A lot of fear yesterday with the way the market came crashing down. You're looking at a 5-minute chart up on the screen right now of the S&P 500. And just follow along with the mouse. This was yesterday. Lots of fear in there. Today, we had a great move and bounce and go. And we did not get to all-time highs yet, but we certainly got above yesterday's highs that we had hit, which is fantastic. We are in the midst of an earnings season right now. So, caution grasshopper, right? Anything that you're doing, make sure you're going to your charts and checking of where those earnings are. You've got to know before you go, right? You don't want to take a chance on showing up. You're placing a trade. And I can tell you right now, I have done it more than one time in my trading career where after I hit enter, I went, did I check earnings? I did not. When are they? In about 5 minutes, right? And you're just on the wrong side of it because you don't know which way it's headed from there. There are some strategies you can take advantage of, but keep in mind, earnings season is amongst us. And you know what earnings season is. If you just type in the ticker symbol for Alcoa, which is AA, that's how we know earnings season is here. That's the unofficial start of earnings season. So the topic for today that I put up there was, that I wanted to talk about was, what option strategy is the best to trade? And that's an interesting question. And there really is no definitive answer of this is the best strategy to trade because it doesn't work that way. There is no best. It's what's best right now. Who's the best ball player on a team? Is it the pitcher? Is it the catcher? Is it the first baseman? Who's best? Doesn't quite work that way. They're all needed, right? There are different strategies that are used at different times. You've got to understand your own personal risk profile and risk tolerance, who you are as a trader, your fears, your concerns. I'll give you a great example. If you placed an option trade or any trade on an Amazon, let's say, and your stock or options, much more expensive with the stock than the options, and you hold it overnight, and at night, you're laying in bed and you can't go to sleep and you're tossing and turning and you're freaking out of, I hope nothing happens in Globex. I hope in the pre-market nothing happens. I hope some idiot doesn't put the wrong order in and start driving ticker prices down and so forth. If you can't sleep, then that swing trade on an Amazon is not for you. So understanding who you are and what's acceptable risk to you is important. If you're willing to let X amount of money go away in your trade, are you willing to risk $1,000, $5,000, $50,000 in a trade? You need to know that before you get into the trade. I'm a big believer that you never go in the entrance before you know where the exit is. I did is the optimal word, a tremendous amount of flying in the last couple of years, probably to the tune of 80 or 90 segments a year is what I would normally be on an airplane. I love to travel. My wife and I go all over the place. And the great thing is you can trade from anywhere, right? But when I get on an airplane, before I sit down, I know where the exit is, right? Just got to know, and it should be no different on your trade. So in this market, as we're looking at VIX, as we look at the VIX right now being so low, let me bring it up. And when I say so low, it isn't the lowest that it's ever been. Oh, the macro. It isn't the lowest it's ever been. We've been down here at 9. We're right now about 17. Bring that in a little bit. Yeah, let's get rid of that orange bar. We don't need that for today. We're great VIX level, but that also means that prices come down. That's great. That means it costs me less to buy an option. It does cost you less to buy the option, but when I sell options, I get less premium for them. So I'm a tremendous fan of selling strategies. I do a lot of directional as well, but I'm a tremendous fan of selling strategies. And in this marketplace, selling strategies have become not impossible, but more work to find good companies to fit that criteria of what I'm looking for. All right. Let's see. Oh, okay. Thanks, Mohammed. I appreciate it. Awesome. Good. Okay. So we had a couple of good ones go off today. Last week, was it T-Cross? I don't know if he's in here yet. T-Cross was in here last week, and then he followed me into a training that I do on my own website. And I had given out a candidate of AEE, and then on Zoom, and he messages me. He followed up on a YouTube video that we did. That, dude, what you just put up for about Zoom and AEE, you crushed it on both of those trades. Right? And it's true. We did fantastic. AEE, we did an option strategy. And that was done for the 19th. Right? So this was the day. So on the 18th, I put up 16th, rather, Friday, I put up a video, and we were looking to take an entry on AEE. We got this gap up. We were in the trade on the open. Now, our stop was down here at 83. And our target was up here at 85 3/4. You can see the green line. All right. Let me do this. I'll get it as big as I can for you. All right. Let's try this. Okay. So the entry was in here on this day. The next day we stretched down. We never got to our stop out. And guys, you can go back and watch the video. It's right on there where I said 83. 83 was the stop on there. 85 3/4 was the target. One day, boom, right? So we're in about 84.5. We're at about 85 3/4, $1.25, about $1 on the option price on that. So super sweet setup from last week. So hopefully some of you guys were able to take that. Yeah, AE seasonal is good. Yeah, I mean, Lynn, it worked out well. It worked out extremely well. You know, utilities type company, but I'm less concerned with the fundamentals personally as a trader versus an investor. I'm not an investor. I'm in and out quickly. So I'm not trying to investigate all these things about the companies. I don't buy them and hold on to them for long term. It's just not what I do. I mean, you guys saw last week the Adobe trade that I was sharing. We were still in that trade on Adobe, and we got stopped out on this day. Let's try this. So, all right, here was the entry. On this day was our entry. Higher entry than we wanted, by the way. On this day, on a video, I called out, go long. We took 4 contracts on Adobe right here on the open. Not where I wanted to get in, but we had our order in overnight. Right, we took our first exit right up in here at that 473 level. Right. Our second exit came in the next day. We sold 2 contracts. We sold 1 contract. And now we're talking about an entry of about 470. We ran up and took our final exit at 516. Right. So here, I'll share. Let me just move those. And this just is an example, right? This is that Adobe trade from last week. Right. So when someone says, is a selling strategy better? Is a directional trade better? Is a day trade better? Is a swing trade better? The answer is yes. It's better if it fits your risk profile. You could see if I change this over, watch, if I change this to 0 as a quantity, we sold 2 contracts here on the 31st, and we sold 1 contract here on the 1st. Those 3 contracts of our 4 came out to be $1,755. When I put that 1 contract back, that $1,750 came out to be $49.50. So we've taken $2,000 to $5,000. We had almost a $3,000 gain on the last contract. We only had $1,700 gain on the first 3 contracts. That's the importance of having a system and allowing it to run and move throughout the course of your trade, right? So, you know, multiple ones like that. Our booking trade, we crushed it on. We finally got stopped at a booking. I'll share that one a little bit with you guys. But I want to look at some candidates today. So if you are interested in the selling strategies, and hopefully you are, right? So if we go back here and we look at American Airlines, AAL, right? American Airlines just had their earnings come out. When was it? Yesterday, right? Yesterday. So they had been down overall. I mean, they had a nice gap up yesterday, and they ran down into the end of the day, just dropped in there. And they're settling at back about that 21 level, which they have been at most of the day today. we're looking at selling. I own some American Airlines. I'll be writing covered calls immediately upon us finishing this today. I'll be writing covered calls, and I'll be looking at the 21.5 for next week, where I can get 29 cents per share. Right? I already own the stock. I own it at, I don't know, $15, $16. So I'm going to give someone the right to take that stock away from me at $21.50 right here, $21.50. And if it goes up there or not, I get to keep that 29 cents per share. If you got 10 contracts or 1,000 shares, that's $290. But this is for a week. So we're generating probably about 3.5%, 3.5% for the month, which is not bad. If you can do 3% a month for 2 years, you double your account. That's how the rate of the power of compounding works. It's called the rule of 72. Whatever it takes to get to 72 is what it takes for you to double. 3% a month, 1 year is 36%, 2 years is 72%. You doubled your account. You're probably not going to be that upset if you start with a $2,000 account and then 9 or 10 years or 9 or 10 times you double it and you're at a couple $1 million, right? Overall, pretty good. So AAL, American Airlines, a great one for that. And then also check out CCL, which is Carnival, right? I have some of that as well. I'll be writing the 28s on Carnival. They're 36 cents right now I can get on Carnival. So same thing, right about 3.5% for the month is what we're looking at here. Are these home runs? They're not meant to be. These are, for me, these are IRA type trades. I do these in IRA type accounts where we're looking for a steady rate of return, not this massive move. Remember, the more profit, the more premium you're looking to make on that trade, the greater risk you're taking on, right? Oh, there's speculation that this stock is really going to move. And it's this new technology and it's had some great growth already. And we're going to jump in and put all this money in there. And, you're anticipating it based on rumor, based on someone else's opinion, based on the CEO, who, of course, they are very bullish on their own stock. To me, if I can take my retirement account and grow it steady over time, for those of you that may or may not be familiar with it, the average person, by the time they get to 55 years old, 55 years old has less than $50,000 in a retirement account in the U.S. It's sad. It's sad. People are not focused on the retirement. You get to 55, and I understand why. You're so busy paying the bills and trying to live life and just keep up with everything, costs, and government doesn't help with all the taxes and the raises and of taxes and all that great stuff. Regardless of them telling you they're not raising your taxes, you all do realize, I hope you're all smart enough to realize that if the government does raise taxes on businesses from 21 to 28%, you're going to have more money. It may not be a tax by the official definition of tax, but your prices are going to go up. The restaurant can't keep the same prices if they go up by 7%. Heck, with the new proposed tax rate in New York City, 58% of what a business earns will go to taxes, which means there's 7% less, which in many cases, one manufacturing firm that I worked for in New York, we took 4% a year to the bottom line, raised our taxes by 7%, and we would be done. We couldn't afford to stay in business. And I'm talking about a plant that had over 300 employees in it that would have to close their doors. They're not in business any longer. They sold and moved to another state. But they would have to close their doors because they couldn't afford to stay in business. So interesting to say the least. All right, let's see. If you don't want to write covered calls, would the opposite trade be a put debit spread? Well, it's not a matter of opposite trade, Vu. Could you do a put debit spread on it? Absolutely. Right? But I am a bigger fan of, if you think a stock's going up, I'm a bigger fan of a bull put credit spread, right? Where they give me credit instead of I pay money out of pocket. It's a selling strategy. And that's the key, guys. You got to remember, you have to understand this, not even remember. You have to understand this. Let me bring this up. It's just a white screen. Let's go to a stock that I don't normally trade. All right, let's just move this over here. All right. So where did that go? It opened up somewhere. There we go. I just need a drawing tool to be used. Just see where it opens up. Come on. All right. There we go. So let me just grab the drawing tools here. Okay. So if you buy a stock, and you think about the three directions the stock can go. It can go up, it can go sideways, and it can go down, right? If I buy, and that's the same with an option or an option, right? If I sell my option, meaning I am a selling strategy, a covered call, a naked put, a spread, the stock can still go up, it can still go sideways, and it can still go down. But here's the difference. In the buying strategies, the only one that works is if it goes up. I will not make money if the stock goes sideways or if the stock goes down. With a selling strategy, the only one that doesn't work, and let me be careful how I say this. If the stock goes up, let's say we're bullish, we sold a call, covered call. We'd make money if the stock went up. If the stock went sideways, we'd make money. If the stock went down a little bit, we'd make money. If it went down a lot is where it would cost money. But if it went down a little, we would still make money on that trade. So there are advantages and disadvantages. By doing the selling strategies, I also take in a lower rate of return. Lower rate of return. As a buyer, I have a higher rate of return. Possibility. Not necessarily for sure, but I have a higher possibility. I could buy the stock at 10, it goes to 20, I make 100%. Right? Here on this selling strategy, I'm trying to make 2, 3, 5, 8% in a week. I don't have the opportunity, but my risk is less in the trade. That doesn't mean selling strategies are better than buying strategies. And that was the whole topic. The idea behind the topic today is what's the best strategy? There's not. It's the strategy for what's going on right now in the marketplace is really what it's going to come down to. All right, so let's see. What expiration do you choose typically for your options that you're selling? I sell the shortest possible time for my positions. As short as possible with a maximum of 1 month. If I'm selling SPY, I do covered calls on SPY 3 times a week. If I'm selling or up to 3 times because the expiration dates are Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But if I'm selling an option right now, it is 220. I'm selling that option on what expires today, if I can. If not, I will go and look to sell next Friday. Go Flight Internet, great pullback move, 11 to 17. Awesome. Well, let me do this. Let me clear this off. Let me pause on that. All right. Now, not you guys. It's something just to stop the. So if we look at Milo, if we look at P, who'd you have in there? I saw the P, but I missed the rest of it. Sorry, things are just moving for me a little bit here. PLTR. Okay. So PLTR. Right. So we're looking for about a 40 delta. So we would be looking to sell that $37, I'm sorry, the $24 strike, which has a 37 delta. We would get about 36 cents for it. That would be the one to sell. For this week, there's probably nothing left. It's a Friday. We could sell the 23.5, but we're right there. We're 4 cents away. It doesn't make any sense, and there's no premium. In many cases, it would cost you more money to sell it than it would to you make as a premium in there. So on average, we look for about that 40-ish delta. If you want a little less risk, you can come down another strike price and go to 24.5. You'll pick up only 22 cents. But that would be the way that we look at it, about a 40 delta. So Imran, I do a lot of credit spreads, bull put credit spreads, bear call credit spreads. I do a lot of those. Those are not rare. I like that strategy a lot. I've had students that I've taught it to, and I've never seen their brokerage statements, but have told me it's the only thing they're trading. One guy in particular who was out of the DC area told me he was able to retire. Again, I didn't see his brokerage statements. I didn't see exactly what he's got, but he said he was quitting. He had quit his job and made more money doing this than he did as a bus driver for the city schools, I guess he was driving for. Yeah, volatility is important. Absolutely. Yes, the Madden fever. We definitely want volatility to be consistent, right? If you're all over the place on your vols, then we've got a problem, right? Vol is not bad here. We've got good numbers on our vol, right? But last week, guys, I shared this, and today's a shorter show for me. I just had something else going on today, and I couldn't go for the full hour today. So, but if you look, here was our entry into booking, right? We got in on this bounce off of that 2311 level. Our first exit came in up here just shy of that 2450 level, and we got stopped out on this day of the last half of our trade, right? And if I go and do, well, actually, let's just do this, right? Here, let me pull the booking trade over. All right, booking last week was, came out on March 29th. We got into the stock at 2311. When it was at 2311, bullish was the U for up, right? We took our first exit on 4.9. So we were in it for about 10 days before we got an exit, which is a long time for me. I like my first exit to be between 2 and 3 days. This was a long time. I don't have a lot of comfort in the trade if it's taking that long. And you could see that for a couple of days, we just kind of went and went sideways, right? And then we had a weekend in there. We finally got some decent moves. We went sideways again, and we were able to get up to our resistance level by that date. And then we got stopped out of the last half of the trade as we broke down on this big day. That was our stop out. We got out at 24.36, but we got in at 23.46. We got in at 23.11. So we still did okay. We did great on the second half of the trade, but that was a $27,000 trade, but it lasted about 21 days, right? For some of you, so chart time frame, GoPro, this is a daily chart. So each one of these candles is a day. So we got in on the 29th, and we took our first exit on the 9th, so about 10 days later. And then our last exit came in on this on the 20th. Again, about 10 days later was the exit on that, right? Okay. Do you take a loss on bad put credit spreads or always roll for a profit? No, Ermin, there's no such thing as always profit in the same sentence. It's impossible. I will take a hit if I'm wrong. So one of the rules I'll use is my short leg. If the stock price gets to my short leg on a credit spread, I will exit out of that trade. So if the stock is trading, booking is a little bit too high of a price stock to use. Let's say American Airlines, right? Let's say we use them, right? And let's say that I had sold the 1950, the $19.50 option, which is where my horizontal line is right there. I sold that. And then I bought, well, actually, let me draw it out. It's easier to see it. So that's about 19.5. And then if I bought as a protective put, I bought the 19, which is right about there. So the one on top is the one I sold. If the stock makes it back to that level, that's where I close the trade out. Or at least I close out my short leg right there. I'll determine what to do with my long leg. Do I think we're going to drop like a rock, or am I holding on to it because I think we're going to bounce from here? All right. So it's not a matter of always profiting. And anybody tells you they always make money on their trades, lies. Sorry, I've been doing this for 20 plus years. No one always makes money on their trades. You can have long streaks. You can have a system that's got very high probability. My systems average somewhere between 40% win rate and about 82% win rate. Just depends the system that we trade, right? Nothing is infallible. Nothing is perfect. No one makes money all the time, period. How much capital would you commit to the booking trade? We did 4 contracts. Each contract cost about 10 grand. So we used 40 grand to make 27. We used 40 grand to make 27. So if you call it, if it was 30 grand, that would be about 75%. So call it somewhere between 65 and 70% over the course of a few weeks. So overall, just nice setup, really nice setup. And guys, that's not all of them. I mean, look, these are the last week. And I do every one of these live in front of a group. This is not me just saying this is what we do. Google is $3,000. United Healthcare was very small. We barely eked anything out of that, but $390 on United Healthcare. These all came in on the last update that I did. All right, you can see the exit dates. They were all on the 19th and the 20th of this month, every one of them. Parpy said, I like credit spreads too, but the issue is 1 week of loss can take several weeks of profit. Any insight on how to manage losing positions, losing trades? Well, for me, again, I get out of my short leg at the strike that I sold, and I will determine am I holding the long leg or not. There are times that if the stock drops, so if you think we're really going to plummet on this move, right? The stock comes here, I'm out of the trade. I'm going to hold on to my short leg. I'm going to hold on to the long leg. And if we get down here, I am crushing it much greater than I made on the 50 cents, 20 cents, whatever it was on the profit side of the credit spread. So, all right. Let's see. All right. So guys, that trade we did last week on AEE, right? We do this type of trade 3, 4, 5 times a week. It really just depends what the market is giving us, right? And when I say we do this, I'm not saying every one of them profit. I'm not saying every one of them happen in a day, because that's not the case, right? There are trades that go against us. There are trades that move in our direction. There are ones we crush it on, ones we barely make anything, and there are ones that it costs us money in those trades. It's not a loss. It's a cost of doing business. Stop using the word loss in your vocabulary, right? A great way to, if you're interested in seeing these trades, guys, you can go to, here's the link. It is tradewithrob/go, right? So trade with Rob and then the /go, right? And it's in the comments there. I think Amelia is dropping it in our chat box right now as well. But trade with Rob /go, guys. I send out 2, 3, 4, sometimes 5. 5 is rare. But 2 to 4 times a week, I send out an email to you that says, hey, here's a trade we're looking at for tomorrow. They normally come out in the evening where you've got some opportunity to check it out. It's rare, but occasionally I'll find something in the morning just based on what I see in pre-market, and I'll submit one there. If that's the case, you got a couple of hours at best to make a decision on it. But at least if you get a notification, whether it's email or text, you'll know to at least go check it out and take a look and say, hey, good, bad, or indifferent, does it work or not work for me, right? Awesome. Fantastic. So what do you guys think? You liking it? Helpful? Remember, 1 for yes, 2 for no makes my life very easy and yours. I don't need you to type long sentences out, very big words. I'm a big fan of trying to make life easy wherever possible.
Great stuff, Rob, as always. Normally it's a 1 hour show, but I know today you got to hop early, so
I do. Sorry about that.
Appreciate you hanging out with us. Guys, smash the like for Robert Roy. The link to his site there on the screen right now. Go Mets? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm a Mets fan, but what good is it? It's just
well, hey, I'm wearing my team's colors. Yankees are off to a rough start this year, but whatever.
Yeah, I've been to many deciding games for the Yankees World Series when my dad was in manufacturing and got tons of tickets. He was in purchasing, actually.
Oh, nice.
Got tons of tickets. 4 rows behind the Yankee dugout. Great show, I'll say that. Reggie Jackson, seen him 100 times from behind the dugout. So
that's fun. Yeah. All right, guys, Robert Roy, check it out. Check out his site. Hit the like. Thanks a lot, Robert.
You're welcome. Take care, guys. I will see you next week.
All right, yeah. Next week, we're back to the regular full hour of options with Robert Roy. But now I want to bring on another really experienced trader, Christian Fromhertz. If you've ever listened to Pre-Market Prep, you have seen him on the show before. He is the founder and CEO of Tribeca Trade Group. Prior to that, he was at Bank of America Merrill Lynch. He traded stocks, ETFs, fixed income. I think he does some option stuff as well. I'm going to bring him on now. Christian, how is your Friday going?
Hey, what's up, buddy? How you doing, Spencer?
Good. How are you? How's your week?
Ready for the weekend.
Yeah, I hear you on that one. All right. So I guess, what do you make of the action out there today, the market out there today? We're green. I see almost all green on my screen, a little bit of red here and there, but mostly green. not in Bitcoin. What do you make of today's market?
It's another turn on another turn on another turn right now. So it's been pretty fun if you like scalping and day trading, and also doing some swing trading, as long as you're like okay with managing your positions and being able to kind of add a little bit in the hole. Just realizing that this market right now, the tape is very whippy. It's just been kind of traditionally how it works towards the back end of a month, that, the beginning of the month, we're kind of trending a little bit more. And then the second half of the month so far in these 2021s have just been back and forth. Yeah. So I've been trying to position a little bit lighter and just kind of going with what I see on the tape, which I'll tell you is it's a fun tape to trade right now, as long as you're not over positioned.
So what have you been trading?
And
if you want, you can share your charts. Or
let me see if I can do that. We'll talk about a couple names. We'll talk about a couple names. Let me see if I can remember how to do that in this app. But it's Spencer, it's kind of just been changing every week. We started to see just pick up on the breadcrumbs. In terms of clues that growth was kind of coming back a little bit into favor this week. I don't know if it was kind of short covering that kind of started it, but it's just shows that there's starting to see in some of the real beaten up areas that we've got some interest, finally in some of those groups. And I think it was, sorry, I can't multitask at this point.
Yeah, no, like all those out of favor names, caught a bid. What's today, Friday? So Wednesday, right? You had names like Skills and all the Spcx. And basically, and like Fubo, and like all these stocks that have gotten crushed, suddenly in favor. And then you have the back and forth reopening, stay at home trade constantly changing here. So I've got your on the screen there. What are we looking at? What is this?
So this is Hubspot. So generally, what I tend to look for when a whole area or group of the market gets hit, which is kind of what we saw in the super high growth space. Some growth names were acting different. I guess more of like the Google and the Amazon. Showed some signs of life a week or two ago, but they're a little bit different category than your software and some of the names that you mentioned. Basically, everything got hit pretty hard. So I always find it an interesting time when that happens, because what I tend to look for is what's going to kind of start to rally and show relative strength. What names are people wanting to get into and buy the dip? And I think you really find some differences, in terms of names that really haven't started to get going yet still, versus names like this that are back at a 52-week high in just a matter of a couple of weeks. So HubSpot is one of those names that it kind of flies a little bit under the radar. It's a very high price stock. It's not easy to trade, but something like this one from 420 to 560 in just a matter of a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And now we're starting to see. So it really depends like what names you're comfortable with. Like SEC Limited is one of those names, has been like a go-to name for me over the last couple of years. So this is one of those names that I always return back to.
Why?
Why? What's that?
Why?
It's just the trend has just been beautiful, and I've just seen so many times where every time this thing has dipped back into support, it's been bought. Now, clearly, something different happened here, and once this got below the 50-day moving average for me, I kind of bailed on it and said, okay, I'll come back to this thing. So I didn't catch it, basically at all on here. But now I'm interested in this thing, and it's just a little bit of how I trade. I don't try to really catch the bottoms. I wait until they kind of show a little bit of signs of life. So, and I think we got that going on here, and so that's a name that I'm positioning in today. And I started to get long some of the Chinese internet names yesterday too. They just look like they were beaten up. So again, this is not one of those groups that have been that have responded well over the last couple of weeks, but it looks like things are kind of perking up a little bit in the Chinese internet group. So I've got, I'm looking at a couple of names.
K-Web, that's one of mine.
What's that? K-Web?
Yeah.
Nice.
I on that for a hot second.
I mean, for a trade, you got it versus the 200-day moving average, and so as long as you're disciplined and say, okay, if it breaks the low or if it breaks the 200-day moving average, you get out, you abandon it. But I think it looks interesting, and starting to see things like Billy, perk up, right, which was another like high flyer a few months ago. I actually bought a little bit of a call spread for next week just a little while ago in Baidu. And then, I tend to look at the daily chart the most, but then I flip over to the 1 hour chart to see if there's any resistance. Which is, we got some things up here, but really nothing majorly in terms of resistance up till about 240. So I'm always looking for the path of least resistance, right? And I don't see a lot of things that could kind of slow it down if it wants to get going here a little bit.
Can you tell us, before we go into some other names from the chat, or other names you're looking at, what indicators, what moving averages are on this chart here?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and the last one I'm happy to take to do some chart requests and so forth. That'll be fun. But this is one too that just kind of started to look pretty decently. This is in my opinion, a pretty damn risky name. This is a Chinese solar name. But as long as you're managing your position size appropriately, we caught this one yesterday, and I put the setup on Twitter a couple days ago that it was just starting to kind of base out here. And I mean, when this thing goes, it goes. So it already got to my target, which was basically right around 87. But I mean, 70 to 87 in a couple days, that seems reasonable to me. So what's on my charts? So I've got a combination of, your basic moving averages. I've got some long-term moving averages. I have this big white line is highlighted because it's the 200-day moving average. I also really like to trade with the 50-day moving average. And then depending on my time frame, I like when names reclaim all the short-term moving averages. So I also use the 20 and the 5 exponential moving average as well. The other indicator that I have on my charts is a proprietary indicator that we call the market webs. This is something, if you've ever heard that some people like Darvis box, right, where you're basically looking for things to kind of break out of a range. We use what's called volume at price, and we look for statistical significant areas based on volume at price. So volume at price, I'll just turn on the market profile here. But it's basically you're putting volume on the study where the chart is rather than down below, right? So we noticed that this thing could actually run up to about $93 before it hits the next point of resistance. So really kind of keeps me a disciplined trader.
So it doesn't seem too. I mean, it looks a little complicated, but it doesn't seem too complicated. You've only got like 3 or 4 indicators up on here, and of course you've got the RSI down there, and you've got some volume, you got some other stuff down there. As far as the actual overlay on the chart itself, I think it looks busier than it is.
It does take a little bit of getting used to, but I'll tell you, since I've gotten accustomed to this type of trading, it is just blown my mind in terms of what you'll see on a day-to-day basis. I'll give you an example for yesterday where we got to. Now, it's funny how this coincides with the news, but you could see, so you could use these on multiple time frames, right? So there was a level of significance, right? This is called the virgin point of control. This is the point of control from a period back here where we basically just came up and tagged this thing. And that was as far as we went yesterday. I mean, that coincided perfectly with yesterday's news. So we try to use this, we really, for the S&P levels, I really map out where there's significance at various different levels. So, that's exactly where we went to. Joel one time, it was pretty funny. I put out a chart like this a couple weeks ago, and he thought I was actually like manually drawing the lines in. Because
and he goes, how'd you do that?
Yeah, he's like, well, you just drew that line in there. I'm like, I didn't just draw the line in there. That's, these are areas of significant volume that the market just really picks up on and uses, as a magnet. And yeah.
All right.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, let's do some tickers from the chat if
Perfect.
you want. Guys, if you have any tickers, drop them in and we'll have Christian talk about what about IQ? We went through a few of these Chinese.
I haven't looked at this one in a while.
This was a Archegos name.
Oh, jeez.
So
wow, this name is, I mean, I think it's a work in progress, right? I mean, it did put in a nice candle. I don't typically love charts that are just back and forth, kind of trendless to me. Other than, well, it does have a trend, it's sideways. So, yeah.
It feels like most of these names are long-term. If you go back far enough, sideways, these Chinese tech names.
Some of them, yeah.
Well, a lot of them.
Another one that got caught up in that too was VIPS, which I think looks a little bit more constructive than the IQ. You know, it's kind of coming in here and trying to turn the corner on the weekly chart. Right? And if you look at this on the daily chart, so again, this is kind of how I go through charts. I'll go look at the weekly, the daily, the 1 hour, and kind of see where it sets up. But you can see this is the first bar that's kind of reclaiming the value area for the month of April. So you got a nice level to trade against, which is 30. So obviously this isn't going to give you like a target to really shoot for because the value area is so large because of the range from last month. But if we shoot over to the 1 hour, you might be able to find something up here. You know, so if it kind of gets above, these are extensions away from the value area, but you know, if this thing can get above 32, then maybe the next hurdle that this can get up to is 38.
What about? Oh, now we got a few tickers flying. Okay. What about Oh, IIPR. That's a good one. Cannabis play.
Oh yeah, that's right. This is the it's a REIT though, right?
Yep. It's the cannabis REIT.
So in value for the month, so still kind of going sideways. Here, let me just turn this on so you can see levels. So I would watch one. I always round up, so 186. And let's see how that coincides with. You can see we're butting up against some resistance for the week, which is 182. Or, you know, right around 183. So that's been a little bit of a barrier for this week. And then for next week, right, we get out of this week, I would watch that level 186. That coincides with the 50-day moving average too, which I like.
Do you look at leverage ETFs? I guess you can look at any chart, right?
Yeah.
All right, TPOR, which is the 3 times bullish transportation ETF. Wait, you should know this. You trade ETFs at Bank of America. You should know.
Yeah, but I did not know that there was a 3 times levered transportation.
The more you know.
That's interesting. So this isn't a nice trend. So I would personally.
Well, of course, it's in a nice trend. They're always in a trend. It's just whether it's an up or a down trend.
Nice uptrend. I would stick with it. It's been I don't want to say a slow mover, but it's been a nice mover, and I would honor basically the 20-day moving average. Set your trailing stop there, but this has been really nice for the last few months. Talk about something that's been outperforming.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a 3 times leverage ETF. So
right.
Okay, smaller one here. RFP, Resolute Forest Products. Involved in the lumber shenanigans.
Yeah. So this one is in. So whenever you see all these red lines, right? Those are again virgin point of controls. It's in retracement mode, right? So at some point, these were all, they're kind of like gaps too, like unfilled gaps. So, notice that the last one that was taken out, try to zoom in here a little bit more. The last one that was taken out, again, that's, we rose right up to that and hesitated, but it's putting a nice consolidation here. You could use your next target as 1716 to the upside.
Okay, 1716 to the upside.
Yep.
All right. What about going through here? Ooh, Dwayne Smith, Snap.
Yeah. So Snap got hit with a little bit of resistance. So notice on the daily chart, it's in value. It tried to break out earlier in the month, wasn't able to carry through the top of value. That's VAH, which is short for value area high, or top of value as I refer to it. Interesting that it got to 61.33 and got rejected at the bottom of value for the day. So, I talk about this in my trading room quite frequently, and I say that, hey, if you've got some resistance right in front of it, these are really good to kind of tell you where you want to either be taking a little bit of profits or waiting for confirmation. In this sense, the bar, through this 1 hour bar at one point was trying to get above 61.30 and just got completely rejected at the bottom of value. So just didn't have enough power to do it today.
Yeah, it was a great quarter too. It's so interesting that it's holding the gain. Not really. It's been leaking throughout the day, but it had a nice pop after hour. All right,
Faith, can I jump in with a couple as you're going through?
Yeah, jump right in. Go.
I think Facebook looks interesting. I mean, they report next week.
Yes,
they're trying to turn the corner in here. You got 2 moving averages kind of crunching here. So I'm kind of watching this one for the rest of the day and maybe the beginning of next week to see if it kind of can resolve higher after the breakout and kind of retest back in 20-day moving average. I think this one looks pretty good. I'm not sure what it's going to do on earnings, but I think for maybe a run into earnings, I think it's setting up.
And that is, let me just confirm it. I'm pretty sure it's Wednesday. It's the
Yeah, it's a 28th.
The 28th. Is that Wednesday? That's Wednesday.
Yeah.
One day after the close, Facebook. Also,
we got kind of a busy week next week.
We do. We have a huge. We got Tesla on Monday.
Yeah.
Facebook and Apple on Wednesday. We got Amazon on Thursday. I'm missing like 1,000 of them, but those are the big ones.
Yeah.
There are many, many more. Okay. What about X here? X, going to give it to you.
U.S. Steel?
Yeah.
It's actually, we'll see where it closes for the day. So always for me, the closing print is most important. It's trying to break through value again. And I kind of like what's going on here in the steel names, some of which have reported already. But I'm looking at this 23.36 level. If I could just talk about a couple other names within the group.
Go.
Steel Dynamics looks pretty interesting too. Also, earnings out of the way. And it's consolidating here and trying to resolve higher. So I really like that name too. And look at how it's honored the support, the top of value very, very nicely. Another one that's a little bit trickier to play is Reliant Steel and Aluminum. Kind of got the same thing going on here. A little bit back and forth action on earnings, which was yesterday, but looks like it's trying to go up and to the right. So I like the steel group here after a little bit of consolidation.
When you say earnings out of the way, how long after a report will you wait for the market to shake it out before you jump in?
That's a great question. If it's a bad report, I wait. What's known in the industry is the 3-day rule. I kind of let 3 days go by. People can kind of get used to that report. It shakes some people out because of the bad report, and then I kind of look to see where it is and if it's against the support level, that looks interesting to me. If it's a good report and there's new buyers that are coming into the name, then it's gets me a lot more interested. I'm not looking to wait at all. ISRG is one of those names where look at the volume on this, and the whole medical device group actually looks really, really good right now. But look at the move on volume. And you had an inside day yesterday, and look at buyers come right back into this thing today. So I think this name continues to trend.
I'm sorry, which is that again? That's ISRG. Okay.
ISRG, yeah, phenomenal report, up 9% a couple days ago. And it gave you a cute little inside day yesterday. Whoops. Whoa. But yeah, we're like, if you go through a couple of these names in medical devices, they're looking pretty decently. Another one that I was watching is STAA. Also, another one breaking out to new highs. But INMD is one that's been tremendous. Moving out of this range and higher.
What about who is where was it in the chat? Someone, Zovial said, please, AMAT. Applied Materials, not medical device, but whatever.
Yeah, Applied Materials. It looks. I'm long this one, and full disclosure, I tried it a couple times in here, kind of anticipating the turn, and it didn't happen. And I just kind of just said, "Hey, I'm cutting out of the position until I actually get the turn." And we got it the other day, so it's on the right side of the moving averages, and I'm long, and hopefully this kind of continues to go up and to the right here. And I know where my stop is, which is just right below these moving averages. But it's also, we're in price discovery, meaning we're above value, we're out to new highs, and I would much rather be that way. Well, sorry, not almost. This was new highs, and it's checked back into support. So yeah, it's one of my favorite semiconductors. A few other ones that are acting really well is this ASML. Another one, speaking of earnings, Lam Research had a pretty good report. And this would be one to watch for next week, because I don't think there was anything really negative in their report. Maybe that was a little bit priced in, but I would watch for this one to take that next leg higher again if we have a constructive market next week.
Prince is asking about SPCX. This is one that I just sold for a loss.
What is it?
SPCX. This is one of those new SPAC ETFs.
Is this it?
It looks like it. Yep.
I don't know. Clearly, I don't know this one.
Yeah, this is a SPAC ETF. I just took a loss on this one.
Yeah. Well, you got some. I mean, there's support. If you're long, I would stick to that support level. I think one lesson that I think has been learned over the last couple months is that you really want to trade against support levels and be disciplined. Some of these things just, fell and continue to fall. And I don't like to pick, to try to pick where these things are going to level out at. I trade against support, and if the support doesn't hold, I get out and I revisit it. But 2843 would be the level to watch. But this is in value. So to me, it's in consolidation station. Next month, right? And this is a developing value area, but whenever these value areas are really slim, it could mean that there's a decent move that's coming. But again, you got to wait one more week until you get the full picture of this value area. But yeah, I would really make sure that you're honoring that support of 28.
All right, guys, if you are not following Christian Fromhertz on Twitter, you're missing out. Highly recommend it. Who was it in the chat that just said, it was CC Invest. He goes, this guy is a great follow on Twitter, and he's absolutely right. So it's Christian's handle is up on the screen.
Was that Dennis?
No, it wasn't Dennis. I lost the comment. The chat's moving too fast. I lost the comment. There it is. This guy's a good follow on Twitter. Yes, he is. CC Invest at C Fromhertz. There's his handle up on the screen. Christian, any final charts on your radar? We got an hour left until the weekend. Anything you're planning for the next hour or next week?
Yeah, there's a couple that I have my eye on for next week. This is one of the Cathie Wood special names, Unity Software. I've not been involved in this one. I don't own it, but I know exactly where I do want to own it, and I've just been kind of sitting, waiting patiently, and placing alerts on your charts is so important. This way you don't have to be in every name. It's one way that you can really automate your trading system. So if we start to see a move above 106, I would get involved in this one in Unity Software. But until then, doing absolutely nothing. But I think it's setting up. It just may be a matter of time. For now, do nothing, but wait for that break above 106, maybe even 107.
Yeah, we can't get to all the tickers. I'm sorry. I gotta let Christian go. But if you liked this segment, throw one in the chat, or even better, hit that like button to let us know how much you liked it. We can do it again. No rules.
Yeah, absolutely. This is fun. Yeah, and I think just to answer your question for next week, just kind of having an open mind. I mean, I think the more flexible you could be in this market, we're seeing all kinds of rotations every couple of days. And the more that you could be flexible and, stay objective, you could really find some great plays. And just try not to get held up in names that are just not cooperating, because there's a lot of names that are flying right now.
Yeah, it is strange, right? Because there are a lot of names that are flying all new highs, higher than when they were pre-COVID. And you get other names that were that way and then are just not playing ball now. It's sort of this weird dichotomy. Here we are on the indexes pretty much at all-time highs, but it doesn't feel like it. But here we are.
Well, I mean, it depends on the group that you look at.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Absolutely.
So it really has been a pretty amazing market if you could just kind of stay and just notice, pay attention and be observant to what groups are starting to run. I think it's been a pretty fun market to trade over the last couple months.
Money never leaves; it only rotates. Christian Fromhertz is the founder and CEO of the Tribeca Trade Group. He's at CFromhertz on Twitter. Christian, have a great weekend, man. We'll talk.
Thanks, Spencer. Have a great weekend.
All right, guys. If you like Christian's segment there, just doing some Q&A with charts, throw one in the chat. If you hated Christian. If you really, really hated Christian, throw it too. I'm curious if anyone really just despised that segment and hated everything about it. I want to know. The Blind Trader, Spencer the Man. Thank you, Blind Trader. I'm just your humble host. I set up the people with the real knowledge to drop that knowledge on top of us here. But all right, we got trivia here in a second. Before that, though, I just wanted to say, if you don't follow us on Instagram, you're missing out. We got some pretty good stuff on our Insta. So go ahead and go to Instagram, search Benzinga, and follow us there. There we go. Zinger stock trivia is up next. We haven't done it in like 3 weeks. We're doing it now. All the interns at Benzinga getting together doing their thing. I'm going to hop off. I will see you all for the At the Close show with Joel Elconin.